All right, let's get it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Better Up. I am with Isaiah. I'm Loro. So, folks, it has been a while since we did a show together, Isaiah. I know both of our work schedules have been kind of crazy as of late.
Yeah, Loro, what's up, man? It's good to see you. Glad to be on here tonight to do the Batter Up MLB 2023 season wrap up show. I mean, that season just flew by, man. The playoffs just flew by, and I'm kind of happy with how the season ended because my prediction that I made on our MLB preview show before the season that the Rangers and Bruce Bochy and Corey Seager we're going to win the World Series. That ended up coming true, so I was very happy with that. I'm still in shock that Texas is the world champions because I've always kind of longed and dreamed for them to one day win the World Series, but I just never thought they would be able to get over that hump because they're always choking. So just to see them being the world champs now is very, very exciting. And now we're in off season, and we got a lot of crazy managerial hires, which we'll talk about later on. But now is the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes, and I know you're very into that. I know you're very excited about it because you want him as a Dodger. But I can't wait to see what happens where Ohtani goes. I can't wait to see where Josh Hader goes, Blake Snell goes. I can't wait to see where all these exciting free agents all end up. So yeah, man, it's great to see you, man. And let's wrap the show. Let's wrap this season up.
All right, we'll start with the World Series. The Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia, the Texas Rangers defeat Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte and the Arizona Diamondbacks in 5 games to win the 2023 World Series and capture their franchise's first World Series championship. My biggest takeaway in this World Series was how the Rangers won this World Series was Bruce Bochy made really good pitching decisions. Timely hitting was the key for the Rangers. And then I felt like that the Bochy effect really helped the Rangers in that aspect. And as for if Corey Seager is a Hall of Famer with 2 World Series titles and 2 World Series MVPs, I think he is a Hall of Famer after winning 2 of those, because I think Corey Seager is already a elite player in October. He's an elite hitter in October. The Dodgers will regret getting rid of him, but I think Corey Seager has stepped up in the bright lights, and I think that the Rangers are very fortunate to have a player like him. The Rangers are going to be a lot better than they were next season. I think next year's Rangers team is going to be really good because the Bochy effect has really worked out for the Texas Rangers. But the only thing that Ray Davis will regret is parting ways with John Daniels. So, Isaiah, I know that you may agree with some of my points here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Laura, I think you made some really good points. My biggest takeaways from the World Series was that number one, the Rangers' big trades, their big bold trades that they made before the season and at the trade deadline, and all their significant investments, it all paid off. I know DeGrom didn't pitch a lot this season before he got hurt and had to have Tommy John again. I know Max Scherzer only pitched like 3 innings in that World Series game. I think he also pitched against the Astros twice, and he got just shellacked in those 2 games. But still, it paid off because you won a World Series championship. So all the trades that they made with Jordan Montgomery, I mean, he was absolutely spectacular in the postseason. He definitely earned himself a massive contract, and he also, he earned himself a lot of good grace in terms of with Ranger fans. And that trade that they made, that paid off. Chris Stratton, another trade that he came over with Montgomery from St. Louis, that also worked out as well. So a lot of people were criticizing, why are the Rangers going all in when, they haven't even been made the playoffs in so long? Or like, why are they even going all in when they're in the fringe of a playoff spot? Well, it paid off because you won a World Series championship. So good for Texas. They made those moves. Those moves had to pay off with a World Series championship, and it did in year 1. So regardless of what happens, now those moves, they look like epic successes for the Texas Rangers. My other biggest takeaways is that this Texas Rangers team, Loro, led by Corey Seager, led by Bruce Bochy, Adolis Garcia, Evan Carter, those guys. This Rangers team is the next dynasty of baseball because, like you mentioned, this Rangers team won the World Series, but they won the World Series with most of their guys injured or not at their best. Jacob deGrom was hurt, Max Scherzer was out, Adolis Garcia missed the second half of the World Series. Nathan Eovaldi was tremendous. Jordan Montgomery was great. They didn't even really have a legit like top 3 relievers in their bullpen, and they somehow, some way, patched it all up and made it work and won a championship. And now that you think about it, the Texas Rangers team next year, DeGrom's going to be back, Scherzer's going to be back healthy, Garcia's going to be back healthy, and that lineup, and potentially if they maybe add like a Josh Hader or add a Shohei, I mean, that team next year is going to be even better than this team was, and they won the World Series title this year. So I think the Rangers are about to take the baton from the Houston Astros as the next kings of the American League. And last but not least, I'll say this. Bruce Bochy, he's an absolute GOAT. I mean, this guy, wherever he goes, he just turns the team around and he breeds winners. And that's what he did in Texas. I mean, every move that he made was great. The Rangers going on the road, going to Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Houston, 3 extremely tough places to play in the playoffs, and they, go into those places and they win 11 in a row, did not lose a single game. I mean, just what a tremendous performance by Bruce Bochy. I think this in 2010 for Bruce Bochy was his best managerial job that he's done.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I hated to see Bruce Bochy form a dynasty with the rival Giants as a Dodger fan, but I have a lot of respect for him. But I was going to say, I said about John Daniels being dismissed last year, and I felt like Ray Davis, the owner of the Rangers, should regret making that announcement last year. Yeah,
I agree. I still don't like the decision to part ways with John Daniels. I thought And I said that at that point that I felt like it was the worst decision that the Rangers had made in their history of their franchise, and I still think so. You know, John Daniels, yeah, Chris Young gets the credit because he made the Scherzer trade. He made a lot of big moves this last off season and this past season, but John Daniels built that team. John Daniels is the guy that traded and got Mitch Garver and Ezekiel Duran and signed Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon and drafted Evan Carter. Like a lot of the players that were drafted or traded there or signed there, John Daniels got them there. So John Daniels definitely deserves a lot of props for what he did for the Texas Rangers, and he definitely deserves a ring from the Rangers for sure. But kudos to Chris Young for getting DeGrom, getting Scherzer, getting Montgomery and Stratton at the deadline. I mean, what an amazing moves that he made for the Texas Rangers that helped propel them.
Next up, before we get into our off-season game, so let's start with our managerial carousel roundtable. So we'll start in your neck of the woods, Isaiah. I mean, Bob Melvin has returned home to his roots, because I don't really think he likes San Diego. But you know what? He's back in the Bay Area as the manager of the San Francisco Giants. I tell you, I think he's going to be a better fit in San Francisco than Gabe Kapler is, because I really think that Bob Melvin really knows how to work with Farhan. Bob Melvin knows how to build winning teams. I know he's built successful teams in Oakland with your A's, Isaiah, but now back home, but with the Giants. But I feel like the familiarity with Farhan Zaidi is there with Bob Melvin. But I also think that you're going to see the Giants makes a lot of good moves this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love this hire by the San Francisco Giants. I cannot believe that the Padres let him go to the Giants. I just don't get it. AJ Preller, I don't know what he was thinking letting Bob Melvin go to the Giants. I said that the Giants, when they fired Gabe Kapler, I thought the Giants needed a guy that would be an actual baseball manager. And what I meant by that was like a guy that, is emotional, he's passionate, he can relate to players. He's not like a human robot, which I felt like Gabe Kapler was. So Bob Melvin is the complete package, and Bob Melvin will transform the Giants. He'll make the Giants winners like Bruce Bochy did with the Texas Rangers. Bob Melvin, he's great at developing young players, which is something that the Giants need. He's not only about analytics, but he also manages with his gut. And that's a great thing if you're a Giants fan, because Gabe Kapler was just all about the analytics. He was all about the numbers. He was always about the book. Bob Melvin actually manages with his eyes. And I think that connection with Farhan and him being an established manager, I think will definitely help the Giants for sure. And I think that like next year, I really believe the Giants are going to take another step up and be in that playoff conversation, because I feel like this year, the reason why the Giants choked down the stretch was because Gabe Kapler could not relate to the players. He could not lead the locker room, and Bob Melvin's going to be completely different for the Giants. Great hire by the Giants.
Oh yeah, I really think so, but it doesn't mean the Giants are going to go a step further over the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are still the class of the National League West. Arizona is coming off a Cinderella type season, and then the Padres could be better, but we got to talk about the Padres in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers are definitely the class of the division. San Diego, I heard that they could be doing a fire sale because they have a lot of money that they owe the bank. So they definitely could be selling a lot of players. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I think they're going to take a step back, actually, because I think that, they had a Cinderella run. Not a lot of people expected them to do what they did. But I think for the D-backs, or young team, they're going to be kind of hung over from going to the World Series. So I kind of do think they'll take a step back. That's why next year I think it's going to be Giants and Dodgers vying for the NL West, and I think that it's going to be the Dodgers that'll get it because I think the Giants just don't really have a lot of talent. But I think the Giants will be better next year than this year because Bob Melvin's the guy leading them in the dugout, and he's going to give you a little bit more wins than you would have had with Gabe Kapler.
You're absolutely right about that. But we got to talk about the Padres here. I mean, the Padres are looking for a manager they could go with Mike Shildt, they could go with Ryan Flaherty, or they could go with Benji Gill. I mean, I think if I were the Padres, I think it comes down to at least 2 or 3 people. It's between Mike Shildt and Benji Gill for me, because I think that either one will be in a good situation, because I think the Padres will keep Juan Soto. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then I also think the Padres are still going to build their team around Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manado.
I think the Padres are going to get a guy that AJ Preller can control, and that AJ Preller will be like a puppet to AJ Preller, because that's why Bob Melvin was ran out of San Diego, because he couldn't get along with AJ Preller, because AJ Preller wanted things done his way, and Bob Melvin wanted to do things his way. So I do think that he's going to get a rookie manager that he can control. That's why I think Mike Shildt, I don't think will be the guy, just because I think Mike Shildt, the reason why he left St. Louis was because he didn't want to do things the front office's way. And so if AJ Preller wants you to do things his way, I don't think Mike Shildt would agree to that. That's why I think it really comes down to Ryan Flaherty, Benji Gill, and this is going to be an interesting name, and I can't believe the Padres actually interviewed him. I think on Wednesday, John Heyman reported this, and that is Phil Nevin, the former Angels manager who did not do a good job at all with the Angels. He actually got interviewed by the Padres to be their next manager. So I think that if I had to pick one, I think it's going to be Ryan Flaherty or Benji Gill, just because I think AJ Preller wants a puppet. But you look at all those 3 guys, Flaherty, Gill, no managerial experience. Preller can control them. They can be a puppet to him. And Phil Nevin just got fired, and nobody's going to hire him to be a manager right now. So he could easily be controlled and be a puppet for AJ Preller. So whoever gets this job is going to be a puppet for AJ Preller. And, I hope they don't hire him, because he did not do a good job. Phil Nevin. I mean, Phil Nevin didn't do a good job with the Angels. He got fired, and a lot of Angel fans wanted him out, and, he could end up being the Padres manager. That's going to really piss off a lot of Padres fans.
For me, I like Shildt. I think Shildt be the guy, but I have to go. I'm going to go on your boat on this. I think AJ Preller is probably going to hire a manager with no experience. So I think he's going to make a surprising decision. I'm going to go Benji Gill, because Benji Gill is from the San Diego area. The Mexican president wanted the Padres to hire Benji Gill, and I think Benji Gill would be a really good down in San Diego with players. I mean, he's from San Diego. I mean, Tijuana native. He was part of that team that led Team Mexico to the semifinal round of the World Baseball Classic. He'll be the first Mexican-born manager in Major League Baseball, and I really think that the people in San Diego would very, very appreciate that move.
Yeah, I could see Benji Gill, just because like I said earlier, rookie manager, no experience managing. AJ Preller can control him, and he could do things how AJ Preller wants. So I could definitely see that for sure. But don't rule out Ryan Flaherty, because Ryan Flaherty has been in the organization for years. And also don't rule out Nevin, because Nevin could be super desperate, where he's gonna be like, yeah, AJ, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Just give me the managerial job.
That's gonna be that's probably not gonna be an attractive job. But now we got to go to the Angels. I mean, I was like, Isaiah, does anybody want to manage the Angels? I'm like, that's the least attractive job. But Ron Washington is their new skipper. because he has known Perry Minasian from the days with Atlanta. And what I think Ron Washington will bring to the Angels, I really think he's going to bring stability. I really think he's going to try his best to turn the Angels around, but it's a tough division. But I really think his veteran presence is going to make an impact on that Angels clubhouse. I think he's going to go with Mike Trout. I mean, obviously, we're not going to see Shohei there, but I really think Ron Washington's going to do a really, really good job in developing the infielders such as Zach Neto, Brandon Drury, and then getting the best out of a healthy Anthony Rendon. And I think that Ron Washington, I think, is the right person for this job.
I want to give credit to my guy James Gonzalez. He actually wanted Ron Washington, and I'm glad that he got his wish because the Angel fans have suffered for a long, long time, and I think this is a good hire by the Angels. I like what they did in getting Ron Washington. I'm happy for Ron Washington that he got another job because he should have been a manager long time ago after he got let go by the Texas Rangers. But this guy can manage. I mean, this guy's a really good baseball coach. The infielders can get better, like you mentioned. Neto's going to be better. The young guys that they have, they're going to be a lot better next year. But yeah, I do like what he's doing. I mean, I like the hire of Washington. Him and Manassian, they've known each other, like you mentioned. They're going to get along. And, the Angels, I think they'll be a little bit improved on Ron Washington his first year. But, I mean, that's a really tough division with the Astros, the Rangers, after they just won a championship. The Mariners are in that race. So, that's a really, really tough division. But I think for the Angels, good for Ron Washington. I mean, him getting another job, like he should have gotten one a long time ago.
I just wish Ron Washington wasn't the manager of the Angels. I kind of wanted him on a winning team like Houston because he knows the American League West very well. I've liked the guy. He loves baseball. I mean, even though he's African American, I mean, he is now one of the active managers of baseball. So I kind of think that I've always liked Ron Washington, Isaiah, because I really think that he really gets along with the players. The players love and respect him. I just felt like that when he stepped away from the Rangers job, he should have gotten another job, but I felt like he did a great job being a third base coach for the Braves for the past 7 years. He got a World Series ring with them. I feel like he'll win a World Series ring as a manager, but I also can't wait for the Freeway Series because you're going to see two African American managers go head to head in Freeway Series, which I'm very excited about. Dave Roberts is an African American descent. Ron Washington is full-on African-American. So you're going to see diversity in this Freeway Series. So Isaiah is coming back here. So I was just trying to talk about Ron Washington. But when he comes back, I mean, there he is. So I was saying, Isaiah, that both the Dodgers and the Angels have African-American managers, and I'm pretty excited about that because I think that we're going to see diversity in baseball in the Freeway Series, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it is very cool, like you mentioned, Low Road, to think about with Ron Washington with the Angels and Dave Roberts with the Dodgers. Two baseball lifers who get these jobs that they deserve. And Ron Washington, like I mentioned, he should have been a manager again after the Rangers let him go. Dave Roberts has done an outstanding job with the Dodgers. You're going to see a lot of diversity now in baseball, which is a good thing because before you didn't really see a lot of African-American managers. I think before, if I'm not mistaken, I think back in 2015, there were only like two African-American managers, and that got shrunk after Lloyd McClendon got fired by the Seattle Mariners. So, yeah, it's a great thing to see. And I hope Ron Washington, he's not going to – look, the Angels going to have to be patient with him because he's not like he can't get it turned around in 1 year because Shohei's going to be gone. Who knows if Mike Trout's going to be gone or not? We'll see. But the Angels, I think for the Angels, it was better than hiring a rookie manager. It was better than Buck Showalter and Ron Washington. You can kind of pick and choose whoever you want. You won't go wrong with either one. But I love the hiring of Ron Washington, and I think that he'll definitely make the Angels, especially their young players, he'll make them much better players for sure.
Well, before we get into talking about your boy Stephen Vogt, who's now the new manager of the Cleveland Guardians, Isaiah, my prediction for who I think will be the Astros manager to replace Dusty Baker, I'm picking Joe Espada. I think the players love him, they respect him, and I think Joe Espada is still going to continue the Houston Astros winning ways with his personality and his continued connections with the players that are currently on that roster.
For me, I'm actually going to go with a different route, Laurel. I'm going to go with Jeff Bannister of the D-backs, the bench coach. He actually interviewed with the Houston Astros before the job eventually went to Dusty Baker, and reportedly he impressed a lot in his interview with Jim Crane, the owner, as well as Jeff Bagwell, the advisor to Jim Crane. So I think that he has a good shot of landing it. They just went to the World Series in Arizona, and he's got the credibility. He's a great leader. He's a raw type of guy. He's very emotional, very passionate. That's what I feel like you really need right now. And I feel like for the Astros, they can't go with a first time manager just because you have Bruce Bochy now in Texas, and so you definitely have to go with a veteran that knows how to manage to go match up with Bruce Bochy in Texas. So for me, I'm going to go with Jeff Bannister.
All right, let's talk about your boy Stephen Vogt, Isaiah, former A. Last year was with the Seattle Mariners as a quality assurance coach. Now he's going to have a team around Jose Ramirez and this young Cleveland Guardians team taking over for Tito Francona. Let me tell you, I like this for the Guardians. I really think Stephen Vogt is going to do a really good job with this roster. I feel like the fans are going to love him. The AL Central is an unpredictable division. It's a one-sided division, but with Stephen Vogt and his presence, I think he's going to be a really good manager for them.
I love this hire by the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland made, I think, the best decision thus far of the offseason. I mean, you bring in Stephen Vogt, who's very, very smart. Yes, I know he doesn't have managerial experience, but he said something, I think, when he was with the Mariners last year, and they asked him, hey, is it your goal to be a manager going forward? He said, yes, it is. And he said, I know that I don't have managerial experience, but if I do get hired, I'm going to get people that are very, very experienced in coaching to be on my coaching staff and to surround myself with good quality coaches. So I love that hire. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. He's going to have experienced people around him. He's very passionate as well. And a lot of these catchers or a lot of these managers, a lot of them used to be catchers, and catchers always make great managers. So I love this hire for Cleveland. There's also not that high expectations for the Guardians because they just came off a season in which they lost a lot of games. So I do think that there's not going to be a lot of expectations for Stephen Vogt in his first year with the Cleveland Guardians, which is actually a good thing because he doesn't have to, he can learn his way into the job. So I love this hire by the Guardians. I think it was a great hire by Cleveland.
Absolutely. A manager with no experience and getting a coaching staff with experience to help the room manager out is a good thing. I mean, this was like Dave Roberts when he was hired by the Dodgers. I mean, he got a veteran coaching staff to help him transition into the managerial world. But I think I can't wait to see what Stephen Vogt will do with the Cleveland Guardians. But anyways, we got to go to the Mets here. They missed out on Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell is now with the Chicago Cubs manager to be away from the division rival Milwaukee Brewers as the Cubs missed Dave Ross. The Mets chose Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza to be their new manager. Let's talk about this first before we get into Counsell, Isaiah. I mean, Carlos Mendoza. I'm like, why did the Mets choose him? I mean, is he going to make the Mets good? He's from the Aaron Boone managerial tree, and he might be like Aaron Boone.
I am very confused, Loro, by this hire. I think the Mets, I don't know what they're doing. This is just another bad move by the New York Mets. You know, Carlos Mendoza has no managerial experience. You know, he's gonna be on a team that's kind of retooling now. Yeah, I know you missed out on Craig Counsell, but there's also other managers that you could have gotten. I mean, you could have gotten maybe Joe Espada. You could have gotten like someone else, first-time manager, if you wanted to go that route. Or even there's a lot of veteran managers out there that are available, like Bob Melvin before he went to San Francisco. Stephen Vogt was another one that you could have interviewed. I mean, Carlos Beltran, he's available. He's in your front office. You could interview him. I just don't know why they went that route. I mean, the Yankees, like normally when you're picking a manager, like if you're picking a first-time manager and you're picking someone trying to pick someone from a coaching staff, you typically want to pick from a coaching staff that has won. And the Yankees, I mean, they're coming off one of the worst seasons in the last 30 years. And I just think that it's a bad move. Like, I mean, this guy, you're right. This guy is probably going to be like Aaron Boone, just all about the analytics, kind of like a puppet to David Stearns. And maybe that's what David Stearns wanted. He wanted a puppet so he could control like AJ Preller, because David Stearns is the guy making a lot of money. He's the new president of baseball operations for the Mets. I just don't know why they hired Mendoza. It kind of just befuddles me.
That move was very, very confusing. I felt like that. I don't know if this was on Cohen, if this was on Stearns. David Stearns kind of wanted a first-year manager that he could take under his wing and group and gain experience from. But we go to the Cubs here. I mean, Craig Counsell leaving Milwaukee to be the highest-paid manager on the Cubs. I felt like Craig Counsell should have stayed in Milwaukee. But you know what? The Cubs had to fire David Ross. I felt like the Cubs are going to go in a new direction. But I really think Craig Counsell is going to do a great job with the Cubs because I feel like Craig Counsell is going to get the best out of those players. I really think that Cub fans are going to be very happy with him and that Craig Counsell will bring the Cubs back to its glory days.
Loro, I was so shocked by this move when it happened. I know our guy Ben Kurz texted me before or when it happened, and I was sleeping. I didn't realize it had happened, but I got a text from Ben that it happened. Shout out to you, Ben, by the way. Hope to see you on a show sometime soon. But you know, I saw Ben's text when I woke up and I yelled because I was like, really? He's going to the Cubs? Like, I thought if he was going to leave the Brewers, I thought he was going to go to the Mets to be paired back up with David Stearns, who he worked with in Milwaukee. But he goes to the Cubs. Like, it was just a very, very crazy events that happened last week. I didn't expect it whatsoever. I thought that David Ross was coming back because the Cubs had said that that's our guy, you know, we're retaining David Ross. So I thought he was coming back, but then he ended up getting fired. And then they go out and get Craig Counsell. I mean, it's a great move for the Cubs because Craig Counsell is a great manager. You know, he hasn't won a lot in the playoffs, but he's very good at developing young talent. And the Cubs have a young team who's ready to win now. And I think that that's Craig Counsell's type of team. So I'm very shocked by that move. I thought if the Cubs were going to move on from David Ross, I thought they would go get Joe Girardi. But since Joe Girardi's right now a broadcaster for the Cubs radio, the television network, but they went and got Craig Counsell. I mean, great move for them, and they paid him a lot. You know, they paid him, I believe, $8 million a year, 5 years, $40 million. That's a crazy, crazy contract for a manager that hasn't won. So I do like the hire. I think that Craig Counsell is going to do a lot of good things, and the Cubs have money to spend now. So I expect them to be very aggressive in the offseason.
Absolutely. I think they're going to be very active this offseason. So, anyways, now we got to predict who's the next manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm picking Don Mattingly because if you want to keep that core together in Milwaukee with Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, you got to get a manager like that.
All right. So you go with Don Mattingly. I'm actually gonna go with a guy that you said was gonna be a manager somewhere else. I'm gonna go with Joe Espada. He's gonna be the new manager of the Brewers. And the reason why I say that it's because I feel like the Brewers low roll, I feel like they're gonna do a fire sale. I feel like they're gonna start trading away players and getting rid of that core that they have, because if you're not leaking to the press that, oh, we're gonna, everybody on our team is available, if you don't intend to actually do a fire sale. So when there's smoke, there's definitely fire. And I do think that like guys like Corbin Burns, Devin Williams, those guys are going to be available. Christian Yelich could be also available. And I don't know if we have him on our trade prediction. I think we do have him there on our list. But yeah, I think they go with a young manager because I feel like the Brewers are entering a kind of like a retool or a rebuild type of season next year, and they want like a young manager that has a lot of potential to be their manager. So give me Joe Espada to Milwaukee.
Wow. I, I, I didn't see that coming, but let's talk about our team recap and off-season preview. So, what grade would I give my Dodgers this offseason? I'm going to give them an A. I mean, nobody thought the Dodgers would win the NL West with all this with all the roster decisions that we made, because Dodgers last offseason didn't spend a lot of money. We signed players to one-year deals this year because of that Trevor Bauer contract eating up our payroll. But the Dodgers, I really think that they have an A+ in my book. But when they got swept by Arizona, it wasn't like everybody thought that they were going to fire everybody. But I just think that the Dodgers, the way they persevered all year long, was amazing, because nobody had the Dodgers going far. But when they got swept by Arizona, it was because we just didn't have pitching. And I think my team's MVP this year, I have to say it's Mookie Betts, because when we had a lot of injuries to our infield, he volunteered to play second base. He might play second base there going forward for the Dodgers, because the Dodgers could get Teoscar Hernandez to play some right field for us. But I really think that he has done a great job for us. And then not only him, my other MVP for the Dodgers is Bobby Miller. I mean, when we called him up, he stepped up when he had to with our pitching staff. Like, no Walker Buehler, an unhealthy Clayton Kershaw. Bobby Miller was basically the ace of our staff, and I think he's going to be our ace of our staff heading into next season as well. But I think what disappointed me was the lack of starting pitching that the Dodgers had in the postseason. But starting pitching is what I think the Dodgers are going to address. In some of the players I want the Dodgers to target, I said one of them is Oscar Hernandez. I want Shohei Ohtani. I want the Dodgers to make a trade with Milwaukee to get Corbin Burns and Willy Adames to play shortstop for us. But I also think I have Blake Snell also on my radar too for the Dodgers. So, and all in all, I was very proud with the Dodgers season, even though that people didn't have us going far. But I have a good feeling that the Dodgers front office, Andrew Friedman's going to be going all out for everybody. And I think that the Dodgers are going to be World Series this season. So I mean, Who would you want to grade? Do you want to grade your A's or your Phillies? I mean, your Phillies made it to 2 straight NLCS appearances, but lost to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, let's start with the Phillies. I'm gonna go with the Phillies first, then the A's. The Phillies, I'm actually gonna give them an A because they had, remember, back in June, early June, the Phillies got off to a really rough start, and then in early June they found themselves 7 games under 500 after losing to the Washington Nationals in Game 1 of that series. And then they ended up on a tear, and they went on a roll, and they ended up finishing, I believe, like 18 games over 500 or something like that. Uh, just an outstanding turnaround by Rob Thompson and the Phillies coaching staff this season. Guys like Castellanos, Harper, Schwarber. I mean, they had outstanding numbers hitting the ball wise. Trey Turner turned it on late. Alec Boehm had a career high in homers and RBIs. I think he had like 20 homers. First time in his career he's done that. The pitching staff, I feel like Wheeler started off slow, but he turned it around. Nola was very inconsistent throughout this entire season, which is a very big concern because now he's a free agent, and who knows if you're going to bring him back or not. The bullpen was actually not a problem for the Phillies this season, and that was a big surprise because normally for the Phillies, when you talk about the Phillies, it's the bullpen that's the problem. And now guys like Kimbrel, Soto, Alvarado, Dominguez, they actually stepped up and they were really good for the Phillies this season. And remember, the Phillies didn't have Rhys Hoskins, so that was a big blow. Bryce Harper coming back, and he came back early, played first base. I mean, he basically saved our season when he came back. So that was definitely great for the Phillies. So I'll give the Phillies an A. Having a bad start, I thought the Phillies, if you were to ask me in early June, would the Phillies even make the playoffs? I probably would have told you no. But for them to make the playoffs and then to just to whoop the Marlins, and then after beating the Marlins, they beat the Braves again in the NLDS, which is very surprising because a lot of people had the Braves going to the World Series and possibly winning it. For them to beat the Braves and then to fall short. I mean, Arizona had a tremendous season. This was definitely their year, so a lot of props to them. But for me, I'm going to go give the Phillies an A. They fell short, lost in Game 7, but if you had asked me how our season would be in early June, I probably would have said not good. But for them to turn it all the way around, I mean, definitely proud of this team. My MVP for the Phillies, I'm gonna go with Bryce Harper. The Phillies were floundering before he came back. He saved our season, and we had a massive hole at first base because Rhys Hoskins went down, and Bryce Harper filled that hole and gave us production at first base that we weren't getting prior to Bryce Harper coming back. So Bryce Harper saved our season. He turned our season around. He was tremendous in the playoffs. He had very clutch home runs. He had a lot of clutch hits in the postseason, and he was just tremendous both offensively and defensively at first base. So I definitely got to give the MVP to Harper. If Harper doesn't come back, I don't think the Phillies are even in the postseason. So Harper's my MVP. If I have to give a pitcher MVP, I probably would have to say Ranger Suarez because the starting rotation was floundering in the start of the season, but Ranger Suarez was the guy that was always very strong, and he was the guy that really kept that starting rotation afloat and really kept them afloat until guys like Wheeler and Nola and even Taijuan Walker stepped up and became themselves of the past. So Ranger Suarez is my MVP on the pitching side. What I do want to see the Phillies improve this offseason position. For me, I want to see the Phillies. I definitely want to see the Philadelphia Phillies, Loro, get a. I feel like they need another fifth starter. We talked about this last season. They didn't get a fifth starter, and that's what really, really impacted them, especially down the stretch. They put a lot of stress on their bullpen. Also, the Phillies, I feel like they need either a left fielder or a center fielder that can not only hit but also is very fast and also can defend. Because
that is what really impacted them. You could run on Schwarber, you could run on Castellanos. Pache wasn't really that good at hitting. Marsh started off hot, then he tailed off. So for me, I think they needed either a left fielder or a right fielder this off season, and they definitely need a fifth starter. I don't know who you get. Maybe you get Blake Snell to replace Aaron Nola if you let him walk, or you get someone else. I'm trying to think who's out there. Maybe you sign that Yamamoto kid from Japan to replace Nola, but they definitely need pitching and they definitely need a corner outfielder for sure. And then as far as the A's are concerned, I mean, I probably would give them a D just because I mean they were one of the worst baseball teams. They started out like 3-27. I mean, they were really, really bad. But I mean, they credit to Mark Kotsay and his coaching staff and the young players. I mean, they turned it around. They won 50 games, which is something that nobody saw coming. The A's were only projected to win like 30 games at the end of May, so that was definitely a major turnaround for sure. Guys like Zach Geloff, Lawrence Butler, Nick Allen, Jonah Bride, they came up and they gave the team energy and they gave them just some hope, and they started playing some really, really good baseball. So hope they can take that and continue it into next season. Obviously the Vegas stuff, like it really overshadowed the season, but I felt like the young players, they showed a lot of promise. Cote and his coaching staff did a great job of just, temping down the Vegas stuff and not letting that be a distraction. So for the A's, definitely it was a very trying season, but I'm gonna give them a D minus for the year. And as far as the MVP, ooh, I probably would have to give it to Zach Geloff because before he came up, there was no hope in the A's organization, not only this season, but moving forward into the future. But when he came up, he started playing the way he did. I think he had like 10 home runs when he got called up in mid-July to the rest of the season. Zach Geloff Zach Geloff really showed that there's light at the end of the A's tunnel, and that he's going to be a significant building block moving forward for the A's, and he's going to be a guy that the A's definitely have to build around. So he's my MVP for sure. As far as where I want the A's to target, I mean, I want us to get, Rhys Hoskins is one of the guys that I want us to get, guys that are, trying to get a rebound, trying to, earn their next contract. They are coming off either a bad season or an injury riddled season. I want the A's to sign those guys so we can have some major league talent. They can prove themselves and then we can trade them somewhere else. So Kyle Gibson is another one for me that I want the A's to sign. Pitching wise, veteran arm, and Rhys Hoskins for sure is another guy I want to sign. And Loro, you're probably gonna call me crazy for this. Do not be shocked if Aroldis Chapman is an Oakland A, because the Oakland A's are going to sign guys to 1-year deals and they're going to give probably big money to some guys. And I wouldn't be shocked if Aroldis Chapman doesn't have any suitors and then the A's sign him just because, he wants to prove his worth for the A's. So for me, my top target for the A's is Rhys Hoskins and Kyle Gibson, and I would not be shocked if Aroldis Chapman ends up being an Oakland A.
Would he want to go there? Because I kind of think, Isaiah, that the Dodgers would need a guy like him, because I think I would love Aroldis Chapman on the Dodgers, or a top tier reliever in him, or Liam Hendricks. I mean, we lost Isaiah for the moment here, and we will get him back shortly. So we'll move on and we'll talk about some of our free agent predictions. And Isaiah knows where I want Shohei Ohtani to go too. So I'm going to say that I'm going to pick Shohei Ohtani to be a Dodger, because I think the Dodgers, they're the favorites to land this guy. I mean, the Dodgers have been in on him since this offseason began, and John Heyman even said that the Dodgers are the favorites to land him, along with insider Ken Rosenthal. So that's my pick for where Shohei Ohtani goes, because the Dodgers can give him a contract where he's going to be able to pitch in 25, but in 24, just this 1 year, he's going to be used exclusively as a hitter. And then next year, you'll see him back to being that two-way star that he is when he was with the Angels. So Isaiah will be back in shortly, and we will get him back in there as soon as possible. So we're waiting for Isaiah to come on here, so we'll get his take on where Shohei Ohtani is going to be. So if Isaiah is going to be coming on shortly here, and so Isaiah coming back shortly here. We were just talking about Shohei Ohtani. Then we're also going to talk about where Cody Bellinger goes. So I have Shohei Ohtani being a Los Angeles Dodger. So Isaiah will be coming on in just a minute here. So he just said that we're just telling him that we're just telling him that we are talking about free agents. So Isaiah's coming back on here. So anyways, Isaiah, we're now on the topic of talking about free agents. So we are on Shohei Ohtani, and you already know where I projected him landing with. It's the Dodgers, and it's going to be somewhere between a 10, 12-year deal worth around $485 to $495 million, right around below $500 million range. And I feel like that the Dodgers are going to give him a contract that he's going to want, because this season when he plays, he's not going to be pitching. He's going to be hitting just 1 year. So they're going to give him hitting and pitching incentives in that contract.
Lauro, I like the Dodgers take. I don't think it's a bad take. For me, I'm going to go with a crazy route. And I think John Heyman laid this out. Shohei has 3 teams. That's the favorite right now. The Dodgers, the Giants, and the Texas Rangers, the defending champion Rangers. And I was looking at all the teams that are possibilities for Shohei. And you know what? I'm going to go with a bold prediction that might make you jump out of your seat. I think Shohei Ohtani ends up with the defending champion Texas Rangers. I think he goes there because here's why. Shohei, I think there's two things he wants: money and winning. And the Texas Rangers, they just won a World Series. A lot of people say that they're going to get better, especially with Scherzer coming back. DeGrom is going to be coming back. And plus, they need a DH because Mitch Garver, he's a free agent, and I don't believe they gave him a qualifying offer. So, and Texas, Texas is like LA. The Texas Rangers are not afraid to spend money and open up that checkbook. Like Ray Davis loves to open up the checkbook and give star free agents a lot of money. So I got Shohei going to the Rangers. I think that with them winning a championship and with Texas loving to open the checkbook, Texas always giving out a lot of big money to free agents, not afraid to spend. I think it's going to end up coming down to LA and Texas, and I got them going to Texas.
We are on different paths, Isaiah, on where Shohei Ohtani is going to land. So let's talk about Cody Bellinger. I have 3 teams where I have him potentially going with. The New York Yankees, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the San Francisco Giants. You may call me crazy in where I think Cody Bellinger goes. I'm going to say Cody Bellinger goes to the Arizona Diamondbacks because he's from that area. Familiar with the division. It's kind of like that moment where Jock Peterson wants to play in the Bay Area, and I could see Jock Peterson staying there. But the reason why I have Cody Bellinger going there is because I just think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he can play some left field, some right field, play center field. I think you could put Corbin Carroll in left field, and you could put Cody Bellinger in right field in that spot.
Yeah, you definitely improve your defense that way as well. So I like that prediction. For me, Cody Bellinger. I think he's gonna end up with the Giants. Farhan, that connection with him, with the Dodgers. The Giants, I think they're gonna miss out on Shohei, and I think that the Giants they need another star free agent to not only attract the fans, but to get back to their winning ways. So the Giants do need outfield help. They need a big bat in the middle of their lineup. Cody Bellinger fits that. And Cody Bellinger, Laurel, you know this. Cody Bellinger has been tormenting the Giants for years with the Dodgers and hitting a lot of bombs at Oracle Park and AT&T Park. So he loves hitting in that park. The Giants, they need that lefty bat to just bolster their lineup. I got Bellinger going to the Giants to pair with Bob Melvin in San Francisco and to reunite with Farhan Zaidi.
Well, here's Josh Hader. I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams where I think they're going to need a shutdown closer in him. I mean, the Dodgers are going to be one of these teams that need a lockdown closer, along with the Giants. I mean, do I see Josh Hader going back to San Diego? No, because they have a lot. They're in a they have financial issues, so I don't picture him going back there. So I feel like Josh Hader's going to go where the money takes him. So I feel like that this team really needs a closer because this team didn't have one in the World Series. I mean, the Rangers, don't disrespect Jose Leclerc, but I feel like the Rangers want to go even deeper into the closer market. So I'm going to say Josh Hader's going to the Rangers.
I think that Josh Hader, I could see him with Texas. I think a lot of people are actually predicting that he goes to Texas, but I got Texas adding Shohei, and I think if you add Shohei, I don't think you'll be able to afford Hader. Although I might be wrong because last year they got DeGrom, and then they somehow managed to get Eovaldi after that, even with Seager and Simeon's big contracts. I could see Texas, but for me, I'm going to go with the Phillies. They need a closer. They have been reportedly after Josh Hader for a long, long time now with Dave Dombrowski wanting him. The Phillies need a back end of the bullpen type of guy that can shut it down late in games. Craig Kimbrell wasn't that guy this past season. Dominguez struggled in 2022. So I got him going to the Phillies. I think the Phillies finally get that guy to lock it down at the back end of the bullpen for the Phillies, and you can have Alvarado and Soto and Dominguez be in their defined roles as the setup man to Josh Hader in the back end of the bullpen. So I got Hader going to Philly.
Oh man, if you talk about that with Alvarado and Soto, that is going to be a three-headed monster in the back end of the bullpen. Yep. So let's talk about Blake Snell. I mean, where do I want to see Blake Snell go? I mean, it's between the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Cardinals. So for Blake Snell, I mean, Dodgers need starting pitching desperately because we don't know if Clayton Kershaw is going to be coming back because he just had off-season shoulder surgery. Although I love the guy, but I think it might be time for Kershaw to retire at this point. So I am going to say Blake Snell joins Shohei Ohtani in LA.
I'm going to agree with you, Laurel. I got him going to LA because of his connection with Andrew Friedman. Andrew Friedman drafted Blake Snell when he was with the Rays. He developed him in Tampa Bay in the minor leagues. So they're going to reunite. The Dodgers need pitching. Snell's going to get a big contract. The Dodgers always give out a lot of big contracts. I think it's going to be between the Dodgers, the Giants. I could see the Cardinals, but also the Texas Rangers are going to be major players this offseason because a lot of the players want to go to a winner, and Texas just won a championship, and they're going to get better and better and better. And so players are going to want to join that train in Texas. So watch out for the Rangers being in on a lot of these star free agents, even though they just won the championship. But I got them going to LA. I think they need starting pitching. Urias, I believe, is a free agent. Is that correct, Lauro?
Yes.
Yeah, so Urias
gets suspended.
Yeah, so he's a free agent. Dodgers are not going to bring him back. Kershaw just got surgery. You don't want to rely on Bobby Miller and Sheehan, so you got to get a veteran in there in that starting rotation. Give me Blake Snell to your Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's what I.
Oh, Lauro, I think you're muted.
Now we got to talk about Rhys Hoskins. The Phillies have said that they're going to keep Bryce Harper at first base moving forward, which I think this is good for the Phillies. Now that means you will find another corner outfielder to secure that spot. So where I have Rhys Hoskins going to Isaiah, man, there's two teams I think need a first baseman. One of them's the Seattle Mariners. One of them is the San Francisco Giants. I'm going to pick Rhys Hoskins going to San Francisco because I think he wants to play for Bob Melvin. Seattle's is a logical destination for Rhys Hoskins, but I think the Giants need a long-term first baseman to kind of even things out in the lineup. So that's why I have Rhys Hoskins going to the Giants. And then you move Lamont Wade Jr. as your primary DH.
I think Rhys Hoskins is going to be the guy that gets a 1 year, big money deal and then gets traded at the deadline because he's going to get a deal, like a 1 year deal to bounce back and prove himself. And then he's going to get traded at the deadline. For me, I'm going to go with a shock. I think Rhys Hoskins ends up in Oakland Athletic because the A's are going to need to spend money because they have, payroll issues and they need to spend a little bit of money to get the revenue sharing. So they're going to get a guy, Hoskins, that, missed all of last season with injury, 1 year deal, give him some money, and then they'll trade him at the trade deadline. And plus the A's need a first baseman because Soderstrom didn't look that good. When he first came up, the other guys that they have there, they haven't looked that great as well. So Rhys Hoskins, proven commodity. You get some fans in there to go to your games with Rhys Hoskins, and you just give him some money. I mean, he grew up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he actually grew up as an A's fan in the Bay Area. So it makes a lot of sense. Prove it deal. You trade him at the deadline. I think that I could see the A's being in the mix. The Giants, if they strike out on all the top free agents. Watch out for the Angels because that's another team where I could see because they could just give him 1 year deal, big money, and then he just goes there for a year, draws some fans in, and then they trade him at the deadline. So I got Rhys Hoskins going to the Oakland A's.
I have him at the Giants. I think he gets a long-term deal there just because of his past success with the Philadelphia Phillies. Now we talk about Matt Chapman. I mean, the Dodgers are in a need for a third baseman, but I actually have him reuniting with Bob Melvin with the Giants. So basically, my dream infield for the Giants looks like this. You got their rookie shortstop, you got Estrada at second, and then at the corners, first and third base, I have Hoskins playing first base, and then Matt Chapman being the everyday third baseman for the Giants. And that's one of the Melvin reunions I have.
I have him going to the Giants as well. Matt Chapman will be back in the Bay Area, and he will reunite with Bob Melvin on the other side of the Bay, wearing orange and black this time. Matt Chapman's going to be a Giant. I'm looking at the Giants' third base options right now. Their third base options are J.D. Davis, who's inconsistent, Wilmer Flores, who's a good hitter, but you could put him either at shortstop or at second base or even at first base. You could play all over the place, or you could even put him at DH. And I believe their other third baseman right now is a guy by the name of Casey Schmidt, who is also a shortstop as well. So they need a third baseman. And Matt Chapman, great defender, knows Bob Melvin well. He actually spoke with Bob Melvin and the Giants at the GM meetings this past week. So I think you're going to see a reunion in the works. And I think you're going to see the reunion come to fruition with Matt Chapman going back to the Bay Area. This time, though, being a San Francisco Giant. Plus, Farhan was part of the front office that drafted him in Oakland. So there's just so much connections with Matt Chapman and the San Francisco Giants front office and coaching staff.
You're right about that. So, anyways, let's talk about Jordan Montgomery. Man, I mean, the Giants need starting pitching, but I am going to say Jordan Montgomery is staying with Texas. And I say that because you need to balance out the rotation with a left-handed starter with Martin Perez. So I think Jordan Montgomery stays where he won a World Championship.
I agree with that. I think Montgomery's going to be returning to Texas as a Texas Ranger. This guy just won a World Series, and he was a big part in the Rangers winning a World Series. He was a very durable arm. He ate a lot of innings. He was very dominant in the playoffs. Ranger fans love him. The Rangers love him. Mike Maddox, their pitching coach, worked with him in St. Louis. So, he has great success with Jordan Montgomery working with him. It just makes a lot of sense for him to go back to Texas. And like we said earlier, Texas is going to open up that checkbook again, and they're going to be in on a lot of these free agents. So I think that Jordan Montgomery, he was a big part of them winning the World Series. They're going to give him a long-term deal to come back and stay with Texas.
Let's talk about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I don't have him going to a West Coast team. It's going to be between the Yankees and Mets for me. The Yankees pitching is terrible. I mean, Kodai Senga's blobbing for Yoshinobu Yamamoto to be a Met. So I'm gonna predict Yamamoto being a New York Met.
Laura, I got him going to the Giants. The Giants are going to be very active this offseason. Bob Melvin is very good working with Japanese players and Korean players. Look what he did with Ha-Seong Kim in San Diego. I think the Giants, Farhan Zaidi, he went to that, I believe it was a Japanese World Series to watch Yamamoto pitch in person. So he has a lot of interest in Yamamoto. And plus, with the Giants, you got hitters friendly or a pitchers friendly ballpark. I think that will definitely help him, especially with him staying on the West Coast. It makes a lot of sense. So give me Yamamoto going to San Francisco and being one of their big additions to the starting rotation.
I mean, Isaiah, selfishly enough for me, I would want him to be a Dodger because if Otani is a Dodger, he would want to recruit Yamamoto because they were teammates in the World Baseball Classic. But man, he is the most hyped international free agent out there. But I'm going to tell you where Sonny Gray goes. You might agree with me on this because I have an Oakland A reunion in San Fran already with Matt Chapman. I have Sonny Gray going to the Giants as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But for me, I got Aaron Nola leaving the Philadelphia Phillies, and replacing him will be Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray was teammates with Caleb Cotham, I believe at Vanderbilt when they were both in college. So Caleb Cotham is now the pitching coach in Philadelphia. Philadelphia needs a number 2 arm next to Zach Wheeler, and Sonny Gray is a very dominant arm. He loves pitching in Philadelphia, and he's going to reunite with Caleb Cotham, his former college teammate, who he had a lot of success with in college. Give me Sonny Gray to Philly.
Man, if you talk about Sonny Gray with Zach Wheeler and Taijuan Walker, that is going to be a fantastic rotation in Philadelphia.
Yep. That would be nasty stuff.
Well, I got to tell you where Aroldis Chapman goes. I mean, not only the Dodgers are going to be very aggressive. I have Otani going to the Dodgers. I have Blake Snell going to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers also could use a left-handed arm in the bullpen too because Caleb Ferguson was kind of inconsistent. I mean, I don't think the Dodgers have trust in Alex Vesia. I feel like we need a closer in that sense, and we make him closer. I have Aroldis Chapman going to the Dodgers.
That's a good addition for sure. For me, this is a tough one because he was inconsistent in the postseason. He was inconsistent after starting out really good with the Kansas City Royals when he got traded to Texas. I'm going to go with the Texas reunion. I think he stays in Texas. He was a big part of their bullpen. You got Leclerc there, but you also got you need someone to bridge it to Leclerc. And I think he found his role in Texas. And yeah, I know he's very inconsistent. He's very wild sometimes. But I think the Rangers will give him like a 2-year deal just to make sure that, hey, we got to stabilize our bullpen, especially because I don't think they're going to get Hader. If they got Hader, then I'll have someone then I'll think Chapman goes somewhere else. But I don't have Hader going to Texas, so I got Chapman going back to Texas and just reuniting with Leclerc and stabilizing that bullpen.
Well, let me tell you where Mitch Garver goes. I mean, there's teams where I think need a DH, but also need a starting catcher. So I have Mitch Garver going to – it might be between 2 NL West teams, between the Rockies and the Padres. I am going to say Mitch Garver goes to – I'm going to say the Colorado Rockies because although Elias Diaz is good, I feel like you can upgrade over Elias Diaz. So give me Mitch Garver to the Rocky Mountains.
You know what? I'm actually going to agree with that. Mitch Garver just won the World Series. He's looking to get paid. He's a guy that's he's going to give you some really good offensive production. And I think he's just right now at this point of his career, you're better off just putting him as the DH. And with him at Coors Field, that hitter's friendly ballpark, he's going to have a lot of great pitches to hit and he's going to mash like crazy. So I think that for him to try to get his value up and get the big money, he's going to go to the Colorado Rockies and pair with Chris Bryant and be in that lineup with Chris Bryant in the Rocky Mountains. So give me Mitch Garver to Colorado.
You also have to think here, the Rockies also need some left-handed bats to go along with Charlie Blackmon. And I think Garver could be the starting catcher, hitting 8th in the lineup, because I really think that they're going to add another left-handed bat. You know that Michael Toglia is probably going to be in the lineup eventually. So that's my thinking there. But now we talk about your boy Aaron Nola. The Dodgers are in on him, but I feel like the Dodgers, not only they're going to get Snell, I'm going to say that the Dodgers are going to trade for another starter after getting Blake Snell, because getting Ohtani and Snell is not enough. So I am going to say Aaron Nola goes to the Padres on a 2-year contract worth less money, because I want to see him play with his brother.
I think Aaron Nola goes to Baltimore. I feel like Baltimore needs a veteran starting pitcher that has a lot of success, very durable, that also has success pitching in big time games, and that's Aaron Nola. And I think that with the Orioles, they're going to be wanting to spend this year because they have a young team that's ready to take that next step up. So give me Nola to the Orioles. I think the Orioles, it's a good move for them just because I feel like Baltimore, they need that veteran. Kyle Gibson, he's a good guy, but he's not that like veteran that you can depend on to help mentor the young kids. So give me Nola to Baltimore.
But now I'll tell you where Jorge Soler goes. Man, it would be a dream for me to see him in Dodger blue. I mean, I think the Padres are going to be in on Jorge Soler. I think the Angels could be on him if Ohtani leaves, which is likely. The Houston Astros, Texas Rangers are in on Jorge Soler. But I am going to say that Jorge Soler goes to, I'm going to say it, the San Diego, not San Diego, my bad. I almost said it, but the Padres might have to be very, very creative if they want to go that route, because you have Tatis and Wright, and you might have Soto there in left field, but you might move Matt Carpenter to first base to make that happen. So my pick for Jorge Soler, I'm going to say the Giants, because you might need a right-handed DH. The Giants are going to be all in on left-handed bats. So I think Jorge Soler will be the primary DH for the Giants.
I got him going to the Red Sox. I think our guy Ben Curse will love that move, but Boston needs a DH. Justin Turner, he's a free agent. They have a lot of other hitters that are free agents. They need a DH. They need a right-handed power bat. It makes a lot of sense. Plus, Jorge Soler, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is. Yeah, he's from Cuba. He's got the Latin connection with Alex Cora. So it makes a lot of sense for Soler to go to Boston. And imagine Soler, who's a really good opposite field power hitter. Imagine this guy both at Fenway Park with the short wall in right field and also the monster in left field. I mean, he's going to rake at Fenway Park. So give me Soler to Beantown to join the Red Sox.
Well, since I have Shohei going to the Dodgers, I mean, JD Martinez, I loved him in LA, but I feel like JD Martinez is going to go to a team where I think he can win, or he can help a young team out. So I'm going to say JD Martinez goes back to the Arizona Diamondbacks, where I think he needs a full season there. I mean, he loves Torvelo, and I think that the Diamondbacks will not only get Cody Bellinger, they'll also get JD Martinez too to hit fifth in their lineup.
JD Martinez, I think, goes back to the Dodgers because I have Shohei going to Texas, so it just makes too much sense for Martinez to leave. For him to leave, for him not to leave LA if Shohei doesn't come to LA. So I got him going to the Dodgers. He was a perfect fit for the Dodgers this past season. Him and Mookie Betts reunited, and he was tremendous. He hit 271. He had 33 homers and 103 RBIs. He was back to the JD Martinez of old, and he was very good for the Dodgers in that loaded lineup with Freeman, with Betts, Muncy, David Peralta. You have Chris Taylor in there as well. So I got him going back to the Dodgers because I don't have Shohei going to the Dodgers. I got him going to Texas, and I think JD in LA, it just makes a lot of sense, both for him and the Dodgers.
You know where I have Teoscar Hernandez going to? Because I saw a report that he might be interested in coming to the Dodgers because I have a feeling that Mookie Betts did such a good job second base for us, along with playing right field. And Mookie Betts might be our second baseman going forward. So I'm going to say Teoscar Hernandez is going to be a Dodger because I have Martinez going to a different team. And with Teoscar Hernandez, you get a right fielder that moves Mookie Betts to second base, and Teoscar Hernandez has a decent glove, but I want him to be a Dodger because of his bat. Because even though he's not going to hit for average, he's going to provide you some really big home runs in that 5-hole. And since I want Ohtani there, I think that's why I'm going in the route with Teoscar Hernandez going to the Dodgers.
Loro, get ready for this. I got him going to Detroit. I think he gets a big money contract in Detroit with the Detroit Tigers. They need an outfielder. I mean, they just got Mark Canha, but they need more outfield help. And Teoscar Hernandez is going to be one of the better outfield options available. And Scott Harris, the new president of baseball operations for the Tigers, knows that Tigers team is close. They're close to making the playoffs in the American League Central. And like you mentioned, the American League Central is a very unpredictable division. Anybody can win it at any given time. I just think it's a good fit for Teoscar Hernandez in Detroit, and it will help the Detroit Tigers expedite the rebuild.
Well, let me tell you this. Marcus Stroman, where do I think he goes? I think the Cardinals need pitching. So I'm going to say Stroman stays in the division and pitches St. Louis Cardinals.
I got Stroman going to the Astros. They need a reliable arm next to Verlander and Javier. They know the Rangers are coming. The Rangers are already there, but, the Rangers are going to keep coming and coming and coming. So they need to match the Rangers. And we know the Rangers are going to be very aggressive this offseason. So they got to make some moves to keep up with the Rangers in that arms race. I think Marcus Stroman goes there because if you look at the rest of their options in that rotation, you have Verlander, Javier, and then after that, you have, Luis Garcia, he's injured. They have Hunter Brown, who's young. He was inconsistent this season. They have Urquidy, who was inconsistent. They have Framber they have Verlander and then Valdez, and then Christian Javier was kind of inconsistent as well. So Marcus Stroman gives you that consistency and gives you that another good arm that pairs with Verlander and Framber Valdez in the rotation.
This is where I have Whit Merrifield going to. It's between three teams for me: the Dodgers, the Marlins, and I would say Arizona. For me, the Dodgers need corner outfield the most out of the teams, along with the shortstop. So I have Whit Merrifield going to the Dodgers because I want to start him in left field because if you look at it, the Dodgers could use Whit Merrifield everywhere as an everyday player. So give me a Whit Merrifield to the Dodgers.
This one's a tough one. This one's really tough because, like you mentioned, he can play everywhere on the diamond and in the outfield. Wow, this is really tough. For me, I'm gonna go with, and plus he's also a guy that puts the bat on the ball. He hits for average. He gets on base. He's very speedy. He's a good top of the order type of guy. I'm gonna go with the Marlins. I think the Marlins love that kind of player. Luis Ariz gets on base, puts the bat on the ball, rarely strikes out. And you need someone to replace Jorge Soler because I feel like they're going to lose him. So give me Whit Merrifield to Miami.
My pick for where Eduardo Rodriguez goes, not only have JD Martinez going there, I have Eduardo Rodriguez joining JD Martinez in Arizona. The reason, even though I kind of want him on the Dodgers, I think he's a good pitcher. I want Eduardo Rodriguez to be a Diamondback for one reason. I want him to pitch against the Dodgers, and we get to him.
I think he goes to the Mets. The Mets need another rotation option, and he's gonna be like that number fifth or sixth best starter on this market. So I think he goes to the Mets. Mets are gonna have a lot of money to spend, obviously, and Rodriguez. David Stearns knows him well from his time with the Astros as assistant GM, and Rodriguez was with the Red Sox, so he definitely watched a lot of them. So I could definitely see him going to the Mets for sure, especially because I think the Mets are going to miss out on all the top starters, and then they're going to be left with Eduardo Rodriguez to help improve their starting rotation, which is actually not a bad option if you think about it. He's a really good lefty, put up a lot of good numbers, all-star this year with the Tigers. I think he's not gonna command a big contract, maybe like a 3-4 year deal. I think it'll be worth it for the Mets.
Well, now we talk about trade pick 'em. Let's start with Juan Soto. I have him right now staying in San Diego, but if he were to be traded, I have him going to the Red Sox. I package him for Alex Verdugo, and then maybe Bobby Dahlbeck goes into that trade, and then a couple of other pieces that go to San Diego. I'm saying this, assuming that Benji Gill is the manager of the Padres, he would want to work with Alex Verdugo again.
I don't think he goes to the NL. I think he goes to the AL. I think that for Soto, I got him going to an American League East team just like you, Laurel, but I got him going to the New York Yankees. I think they got to do something. They're desperate. The Yankees, they always like to make these big splash moves that just wow everybody. So, and they've been in on Soto for a long, long time. And Aaron Judge, whoever he wants, it just seems like the Yankees always get him. And the Yankees, they need to get younger and more athletic. And Soto provides that. And he's a guy that can be that bat in the middle of the lineup. I'm trying to think who they probably would have to give up their number 1, 2 prospects to get them. Don't be shocked if Giancarlo Stanton gets packaged in this deal just to make the money work because Soto's got a big contract. Stanton, they want to get rid of him just to make the money work. I could see Stanton going to San Diego as part of the package just to kind of relieve some of the money. So don't be shocked if that happens. But I got Soto going to the Yankees. I do think he's going to get traded.
Wow, I'll tell you. So I'll tell you where I think Christian Yelich goes to. I mean, I would love for him to be a Dodger, but I have another Brewer going to LA to join that star-studded rotation that I have. So I am going to say Christian Yelich goes to the Angels. No. I will say Christian Yelich I think he stays in Milwaukee. I just think that whoever the new manager is, he might make it work with him.
Christian Yelich still has 5 years and $130 million left on his deal, so I don't know who's going to want to take that contract. But I think that if he goes somewhere, it's going to be to one of the top teams that missed out on Soto and missed out on Ohtani and missed out on Corbin Burns and some of the top hitters or pitchers on this market. I mean, Christian Yelich wasn't bad. I mean, he hit 278, 19 homers, 76 RBIs. I mean, he was really good for the Milwaukee Brewers. For me, I think he's going to get traded because I feel like the Brewers are entering a tear down rebuild type of situation. And as far as where he's going to go, oh my God. Man. You know what? I'm going to say it. I think he goes to LA. I think he goes to the Dodgers, Laurel. I think he joins your Dodgers because I think like that you guys miss out on Shohei, and then Andrew Friedman is going to be like, yeah, we got Blake Snell, but we got to get a big impact bat just to keep up with all these other teams in the National League. And the Dodgers, hey, they got money. So they could take on 5 years, $130 million. And, Yelich, he's not bad everybody's talking bad about him, but he's not a bad player. I mean, he still hit almost 20 homers and he drove in 70 plus RBI. So he could be that dangerous middle of the bat with JD Martinez and Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. Imagine that lineup,
And
Laurel.
Max Muncy too.
Yeah.
Muncy. in your scenario, Max Muncy would be your 4-hitter in that situation. And then you have Yelich playing left field and hitting 6th.
Hypothetically speaking, though, if you did get Yelich, who would you give up in a Yelich trade? Because Milwaukee's probably going to be like, we want just to get rid of the contract. So who would you give up?
Probably one of our mid-tier prospects, along with Michael Busch, who I want to see get playing time, and I will also have to throw in Gavin Lux too, because there's another player I want in that deal for Milwaukee, Willy Adames, because he played against us in the World Series. He was the last batter in that World Series, and I feel like I would like a little bit of an upgrade at shortstop.
And where would Yelich play? He play left field or center? Or he would play left, right?
I would say left for Yelich, James Outman in center, and in right field, I would go with Teoscar Hernandez or Mookie Betts.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I feel like the Dodgers may want to move Mookie Betts to second base.
Yeah, they could, and that's good. I mean, imagine you have Betts leading off. You would then have Freeman, I believe, hitting second.
And then Smith hitting third. And then Muncy hitting 4th.
And then Yelich would hit 5th, I'm guessing. So you can have the left.
6th.
Oh, the 6th. Yeah, I mean, that would be a loaded lineup.
5th would be the guy I want, Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar Hernandez, yeah. Yeah, for me, I got Yelich going to the Dodgers.
I could see it. But for now, I have him staying in Milwaukee unless the Dodgers don't get Ohtani.
Well, yeah. Well, and also if they don't get Ohtani, it also depends who's the new manager of the Brewers and what do the Brewers do moving forward. If they really go on a complete teardown, then I think not only Yelich, but I could see a lot of their impact players being available, like Devin Williams, who we'll talk about next, Corbin Burns, like you mentioned, other guys that we're not even naming could also be available as well.
Let me tell you where I'm going to put Corbin Burns is because I want starting pitching. I want Snell. I want Ohtani on LA. I'm picking Corbin Burns to go to the Dodgers. I have him packaged in a deal with the Dodgers with Willy Adames. And then I'm going to package Gavin Lux, Michael Busch. And then I will also package either Cartaya or Dalton Rushing to the Milwaukee Brewers. And then I'll also throw in Gavin Stone in there too.
Maybe you could do a 2-for-1, or you could do like a 2 or 3 player deal where you get Adames, Yelich, and Corbin Burns in the same deal, and you just give the Brewers a lot of prospects back just for money relief. Maybe you could do that.
I wouldn't mind giving up James Outman, and I would not want to give up James Outman. That's why I am going to just go at least 2 players to get Burns and Adames.
Okay. For me, with Corbin Burns, for me, Corbin Burns, I do think he goes to the Dodgers as well. He's been very connected to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers pull off a Yelich and Burns deal for a lot of prospects, and I think Gavin Lux is thrown into that deal as well because it just seems like there's too many players that are blocking him from having an everyday spot with the Dodgers. So give me Corbin Burns and Blake Snell going to LA, as well as Christian Yelich being a Dodger as well. And this Dodger team is going to be loaded with those guys.
Look, the Dodgers are not going to blow up their farm system with this trade. I mean, I don't think Andrew Friedman would want to do it. I think he gets creative with Matt Arnold about this trade.
I do too. I don't think he's going to blow up his farm system, but I think he gets creative. You're right. I think Gavin Lux is definitely going to be in the deal. Your top 2 prospects maybe will be in the deal. Because if you think about it, you're giving away your top 2 prospects, but you're also going to get Burns, who's a really good starting pitcher, and potentially you'll get either Yelich or Adames, who are really good hitters, and you're going to get them for long term as well. So it's definitely worth it for the Dodgers.
Absolutely. So, anyways, here now we got to talk about Devin Williams. For me, I have him staying in Milwaukee.
I got him getting traded. I think he gets traded to the Texas Rangers because they need bullpen help. You know, Leclerc is the closer, but I just don't think that Leclerc can be your closer if you want to win another championship because Leclerc, he's like Santiago Casilla. He bends and he doesn't break, but eventually he's going to break. And Aroldis Chapman, don't even get me started on him. I mean, that dude gave me so much heart attacks during the World Series. You need a proven closer. And Devin Williams, he's got electric stuff. He's a really, really good closer. His changeup is very, very filthy. He had 36 saves last year. The Rangers are going to go out and get a proven closer. I think they're going to miss out on Hader because they don't want to pay a lot of money, but they're going to go and get Devin Williams. And you're going to have Devin Williams in the 9th, Leclerc in the 8th, and Aroldis Chapman and Josh Sborz, that combination in the 7th inning. Oh, Leroy, you're muted.
I was saying that Nick Castellanos, I think the Phillies, I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Phillies are, I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Phillies are, I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Phillies are not going to trade Nick Castellanos. So I feel because Dave Dombrowski's not interested in moving him. So I'm going to say that Nick Castellanos stays in Philly.
Yeah, I don't think he goes anywhere. I think he stays in Philly. These premium hitters, they don't grow on trees. You know, you got to keep them. Nick Castellanos is a stud. This guy's a really good hitter. And the Phillies would be foolish to deal him in any deal. I mean, if you get Shohei, great. But Nick Castellanos, he just represents Philly. And he's a guy that, you know, is great. He's very good. He's a really good slugger. And him and Harper, I mean, those two guys in the same lineup together, it's just really great to watch. So I don't think the Phillies would trade him. The Phillies would be absolutely stupid if they dealt him.
Yeah, anyways here. So we gotta go to some final thoughts and announcements. So Isaiah, so we gotta talk some announcements here. Is there gonna be a Thanksgiving show for the IM6 network?
Yeah, I think we'll have a Thanksgiving show. I'm thinking about doing it maybe on Tuesday before Thanksgiving or the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or even Monday because I would be getting off work around 7 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We will do a Thanksgiving show for the IM6 network, a Thanksgiving special. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And we're going to have Kicking with Cruz coming up, I think maybe next week. And then we will have Extra Point coming up when me and Laura will find time in our schedule to do it.
Yeah, since we both have things coming up with work-related stuff, since it's getting crazy at this time right now. So my final thoughts is this is a great show, Isaiah. I mean, this MLB offseason is going to be good. You know I want Ohtani. I kind of built my dream offseason with my Dodgers.
Yeah, I know, man. It's going to be a crazy off season. I think the winter meetings, Loro, is in 3 weeks, right? December 4th is when the winter meetings are there. So I think you're going to see a lot of these free agents start signing. I read a report today that Shohei Ohtani could sign during the winter meetings. So he could sign in 3 weeks' time. So that's very exciting. But yeah, it's definitely, like you said, crazy times right now. Football's going on. Basketball's going on. You know, baseball, you know, free agency is coming up. So that's very exciting for sure. But great show. Thanks to Ben for tuning in tonight. Hope we can have him on a show sometime soon. But man, oh man, I cannot wait, man. Can't wait to see where Ohtani goes and Hader and Chapman and all those guys that we named today. And I can't wait to see, you know, where like a lot of these free agents go and some of the managers that are going to be hired in the next coming weeks.
Anyways, for Isaiah Loro signing off for now. Have a great night. And Isaiah, you can just play the intro and outro, the intro outro for this and end the show.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
slang, I speak it every day. I'm trying to get it poppin', each and every way. It's one nation, under goons. My goons are stripping all these cats down in the under rooms.